Hey, welcome to the Two Stock Movies podcast. I'm Drew.
I'm Cam.
And today we're starting the month of October, or at least the series that we do in October, where we talk about 4 horror movies that we pick out. This week, we decided to talk about, drumroll, Cam?
The Blair Witch Project. Starring who knows?
Yeah, who knows who these people are?
Ray Hance, Joshua Leonard, and Michael C. Oh, these people are these are their real names in the movie.
All of them are just
not Heather though. Not Heather. Her real name is Ray.
Well, that adds into probably the what I think I was talking with you before we started recording,
like the realism.
Yeah, the realism. Okay. So,
I'll give us.
What were you gonna say?
I'll give a synopsis.
Yeah, right. Go ahead.
So it's about 3 college filmmakers.
They look 30 though.
Yeah,
at least
that's how they looked in the early 90s, or late 90s, early 2000s. But it's about
terrible.
Yeah, just old. But it's about 3 filmmakers, and they find out, or they hear about this witch person, the haunting that people are missing in the woods, and it's a found footage kind of movie, so everything's kind of
hectic.
Yeah, the camera's always like shaky and stuff.
Downright crappy looking.
Man, it is god awful. But I'll get it.
Whoa.
But Drew and I have opposing views, but we'll get on that later. But
I'll give a little bit of backstory to the movie. So when it came out in 1999, it had no actors that anybody knew. It wasn't made by anybody that anybody was aware of in Hollywood. But what was so cool about what they did with this movie is that they promoted it like it was an actual actual footage that was found from a camera that people went missing from. Because in the movie, it basically tells at the beginning that these 3 college students have gone missing. Nobody knows where they are, but this camera stuff was recovered. And so they actually put flyers up on whatever the internet was back in 1999 or just around for their promoting of the movie, because it got people thinking, oh my God, this is real. Like, these people actually went missing. Like, we have to go see this. It was after the movie became one of the biggest found footage horror movies of all time, but it was probably one of the biggest horror movies, like, in terms of budgetary to, like, profit at the box office. Because this was, like, I think 100,000 and went on to make, like, 300 million, something around there. But people were kind of PO'd the fact that they were lied to that, but honestly, you got to do what you got to do to make money. And honestly, I kind of like it because if I was going in thinking, oh, this is real, I wouldn't. But, like, I'd be like, oh, crap.
I like when marketing goes outside of just commercials. I think because it's
floating heads,
and the Kill Bill one, I don't know if you've seen it, like they have the sliced billboard across, and currently it already came out with the creator. They've had like little AI robots at MLB games and football games.
Yeah.
I like stuff like that.
Yeah, that's cool. I guess because I know you recently finished the movie
10 minutes ago.
10 minutes ago. As the feelings are fresh about the end of the movie, what do you think overall, Cam? What are your thoughts?
Man, this is, I'll say it in an elegant way. It is terrible.
How elegant. Very
terrible.
Elegant.
It is.
Very cultured of you.
Thank you. I will never watch this again.
Oh, my God.
All right, so it's like, so I knew it was found footage, but I didn't understand. It made sense. I'll give it that. But I couldn't. I just feel like I was watching people walk the whole time, which is pretty much what it is. And I like seeing them progressively get crazier and crazier. But you got me. I'm glad. Thank God it's only 80 minutes, or hour 20. Because if this stretched over an hour 30,
Lord help you,
dude. And it was just boring. And then nothing really got me. Like, I wasn't like, oh snap. I may have done that once, but that's just because in comparison to the other 50 minutes I watched, and I saw blood. So I didn't like it.
Not a fan. You were not a fan of those.
Man, no. And I was looking forward to it. I've never seen it. I heard it was like a cult kind of following kind of thing. Like not everyone loved, but I knew it was a big thing. And I was just super disappointed. And I'm glad I didn't watch it last night, because every time I watch the movies for the podcast, I always make a thing out of it.
I know you do.
He knows the routine.
Maybe we'll reveal that at one point, but not tonight. We don't have time.
But yeah, I just fell asleep last night. I watched it throughout the day today. But what are your thoughts on the movie?
Cam, I have to say that full-heartedly I have to disagree. I think the movie was amazing, and to be honest with you, felt like when I was watching it, I swear to God that the movie, like, time stood still.
Yeah,
Okay, and not in a bad way. And what I mean by that is I say, like, you know, because at the beginning you watch it and they're doing this documentary, the three characters, and they're asking people about the idea of the Blair Witch and kind of the whole, I wouldn't say folk tale, but you know what I mean, the whole lore behind it. And, you know, you get kind of some insight in that and other people's perspectives on it. And then they go out there and you're just watching these three characters just get lost, start to become, like, psychologically paranoid, turn on each other, get annoyed by each other, and all that. And, like, when you're watching it, not a lot happens in terms of content.
Oh.
They just get lost. And, you know, for some people, I guess I have to say, for Cam, you know, I liked it because it added mystery, because, like, it led to me to believe, like, oh, what's going to happen? You know what I mean? Like, what are they going to get out? Like, is the Blair Witch going to come out and jump scare him? I liked it because it's just the way the performances, which are surprisingly, now that people know that this movie is, like, a movie, it's not actual found footage. It's all a big production, not a big production, but you know what I mean? Like, it's pretend. The performances are pretty good, I feel like. Don't you think?
Yeah, I like the scene when she was crying, and I know we were clowning it when, like, the camera was on her face.
The infamous kind of,
that was good. But I'll agree with that the acting was good now that I know I mean, I already knew it was fake.
Yeah, I just felt natural. So, like, if I was watching it, and I think the reason it does that is because the reason it feels so natural is just the dialogue between all the scary stuff. It just feels like you and your bros just chilling, saying stupid stuff that, you know what I mean? It's where you're like, oh yeah, these are just regular people. But yeah, Cam, I have to disagree. I love this movie. I think we're starting off the month with a bang. Yeah. And Cam thinks it's a dud, frankly.
It's good for the podcast. We usually agree on the same stuff.
Good for the podcast.
It's good for, I'll be optimistic. We usually agree on the same stuff. But
it's true. We really do. Would you say, okay, how about this? I'll ask you this. Do you think the film evoked, you're going to say no, evoked, like, the way it evoked panic and anxiety and kind of just, like, you know, when you're lost in the woods and that panic that comes onto you, like, oh my God, it's tight. Like, it's been, especially since they have been there like 3-4 days and they just still can't get out. Do you think the movie evoked that emotion well?
You know, Drew.
Oh boy, here we go.
When I got lost in the woods, which
in Maryland, Blair Witch,
you know, which obviously I get lost in the woods because I like the outdoors.
Clearly,
I kind of just look at the sun and then kind of dictate which direction I'm going in based on the rising and the sunset. So
they did not.
They didn't.
They didn't climb a tree or anything,
and that's why it sucked. Because not sucked, but
shame on you.
Well, to answer your first question, no, I didn't get any, like, anxiety or anything. I couldn't wait for it to be over. That was the longest 120 minutes ever. No, 80 minutes.
Oh, Cam.
But I mean, I'll say it like this. I was looking forward to something happening, like a jump scare or just seeing a face randomly, but I didn't get anything at all. And I'm just sitting there. I hear noises, and the camera quality is so poor, which makes sense because it is
by design. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not complaining that it was bad, but
no, Cam, it's by design.
But man, I just couldn't find anything I really like. There's no reason for me to come back and watch this because I'm watching it. I know nothing. I started knowing nothing, and I ended knowing
nothing.
I didn't see anything. All I did was hear little faint moans and groans.
See, that's why I personally, I like the movie personally because of that very reason, that you don't see a lot of stuff. Okay. Because to me, I feel like it adds this feeling of the unknown and not knowing what's going on, and that you see at the same as the characters because you're seeing it through their eyes, like through the found footage way of filmmaking. You know, you're seeing, and it's pitch black. And so, like, I walked in there and you were watching it and it's just a black screen and you're like, I'm watching Blair Witch, and I go, you definitely are. It's a black screen. And I like it because you're in the tent with them and you just hear mumbles or groans or just like noises outside. And, you know, in a bunch of horror movies, you see the villain and then you see the characters, you see the villain, then you see the, you know what I mean? Like slasher movies like Michael Myers and all that. But with this one, you're just with the characters and you're only seeing it through their eyes. So I think it adds more of a, like, I wasn't scared when I was watching, but it adds a little more of like that kind of like disturbing, kind of creepy little aspect to it that you're seeing it through their eyes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like the first person point of view.
Yeah.
Okay.
Were you hoping to see, like, what would have made the movie in your eyes?
So I don't want to. If I'm going just off this, like not a real person experience, I'm not expecting like a huge, piano come in and like do and seeing a face
Chase
like,
scene,
I wasn't expecting that, and I liked how it did. It didn't have it, but to make it better, I wish I would have got something. We get the last shot with, I forget, Michael. I think that was his name.
Yeah,
Mike, and he's just standing over her body, and I get that's cool. Or he was just standing looking at nothing
in the corner. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was something. But
I have a theory about that.
talk to me.
So, at least if I'm mistaken, I believe at the very beginning, the crew is talking to this old man, and he tells them a story about how the Blair Witch would. I'm trying to remember the story correctly, but it's like the two kids where she would tell one to stand in the corner while she went and killed the other one, and then would come back and kill that kid. You remember that?
Yeah.
That's where I think that ending comes in, where it's him standing in the corner.
Who he killed though?
The girl. Heather, I believe. Heather? Yeah, that was her name, I believe.
Yeah.
I think because when I watched it, I was like, because at that point they lost Josh. They're all together, and all of a sudden it cuts the next morning, and they lost Josh, and they're looking for him, and then they kind of, they can't find him. So then they find this house because they're hearing his screams. And then they find it, and then Mike runs downstairs after him, and then because he hears him. And then he gets knocked out, and then Heather comes by and sees him just stand there. I think that's kind of what that's supposed to mean. It's supposed to take that story from the beginning and kind of come full circle.
Mm-hmm.
But I looked it up, and I saw that the directors of the makers of the movie came up with that ending like on the spot, like not on the spot, but like at the very last minute. Like they had a completely different ending that I don't know. From the article I read, it didn't say like the ending they had in mind, but it was like within like shooting days, they were like, "Oh, let's do this instead." And I'm like, okay. Do you try to think, because it's one of those things. It's a very like famous ending because you don't see anything. It's a very weird ending. Because I didn't know that story from the beginning was kind of played a part in that ending
Until you researched it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I liked it. I enjoy movies where there's a full circle thing or a full circle moment. I know you do that with your films.
I do. I try.
Good plug. But I wish I don't know. I always like them because I forget 5 minutes after I see them. Like I didn't pay attention to what he said at the beginning. I thought they were just talking nonsense or whatever.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess it's fair to say that you have to think that this is the movie that really started the found footage craze, really. Because this was like the first one. Like Paranormal Activity came after this. All those other crappy ones that I'm forgetting, rightfully so, are, they came all after this. So because I was about to say that, the ending where it's like, oh, something hits her and then the camera falls to the ground and we don't know what happens. I can bash it, but I can't because it was the first one that did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you were watching the original Halloween and you're like, oh my God, this guy just goes around, kills people one by one. God, it's so dated. It sucks. But then you think this is like one of the first ones, the mainstream ones that did it like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you kind of have to think of it with that perspective. But with that being said, after 24 years of being out, and you watch it and you're just kind of like, it's weird. It's weird to have that perspective because like now we've been desensitized to it so much that we're kind of like, God, that was lame.
That's the worst thing because I know when.
But I liked the ending. Like I liked it though, because of that coming full circle, not knowing what happened though.
I like it now, but I already watched the movie, so like I can't. I've already come to the conclusion that I don't like it. But
yeah,
I do. I think I say this a lot when we watch older movies that I appreciate them for the time, but I probably don't appreciate them for what they once were. Like Napoleon Dynamite, I thought it was kind of funny, but when that first came out, I'm sure that was like the big rave,
Oh yeah,
or
I said stupid.
Oh yeah, I mean yeah, it is pretty stupid.
Yeah.
What other movies did we like? Old movies.
I mean, even Saw. Because like at that time, like people were like, "Oh, the craze," and then like we look back on out, and we're like, "Oh," and that's another good example of a horror movie that was cheaply made, and blew up,
and they just came out with their 10th or actually like 12th because Jigsaw and so that
that's true.
So
oh wait, no, it's 10. I'm trying to think.
I know Saw 1 through 9, but then you have like Jigsaw, and then you have like Spiral.
Yeah, that's true.
So those are kind of the spin-off ones, but the original Saw series is 10.
Yeah.
But
and it's kind of mid now that you watch it because it's so dated and like you kind of understand the budgetary limits they had. And this movie is really the same, but it's just through a different format.
I respect people that take a risk because I know when you're having an idea like this, you don't. It probably got shut down and disregarded multiple times because who wants to?
It's a weird concept,
and they still went ahead and did it. I wonder what the budget. I saw it was $60,000 budget, but where'd that money?
60,000?
60.
Oh, damn.
But like, I wonder where that money went because they're just in the woods the whole time. I guess the build set
probably. I mean, that's true. I don't because 60,000. That's like
just a walk in the woods.
I mean, you have to pay actors, but it's like
that's 20 apiece.
But still, you're in the wood. That's a good question because it is a movie. I was about to say that it's a movie that makes you think like, oh, and that's why it became such a big craze, the found footage, because people realized we can make a movie for cheap with absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Use this crappy camera, but it's okay because through this format, it's fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we can make a crap load of money on it. And
$300 million?
I think that's how much it made. And
Jeez.
But yeah, I don't know where the 60,000 went to because they're literally just. And I think there's something to be said about the novelty of that, like that they didn't have. You don't see anything, they don't have anything. It's just people going out there and just doing this, and it turning out, I think, pretty freaking good for the
type of style,
what they didn't have and what they made out of it. I think I enjoyed it, and I think that so many more high budget horror movies are better.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that for what it is and kind of how it's remained kind of a classic in the eyes of the public or whatever. I like it.
Is there anything that could have made it better for you?
I think maybe it's weird because the way that this movie subtly drops weird stuff going on, I like it. How it's not like too much, like where they sleep the first night, I think, and they wake up and there's stacked rocks all around their tent, and they're like those weren't there the night before. And they pass through that kind of shrine kind of thing with all the
body thingies.
Yeah. I thought that was good. And then every night they stay the night, they hear more noises, that weird stuff's going on. Like they actually get attacked by something that they can't see and like get slime all over his clothes or whatever, Josh's clothes.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I would have, it's hard to say because it's such a short movie and it like feels like they get lost very quick. I just wish maybe some more weird stuff would have happened like consistently, if that makes sense, because there's a lot of like, we're lost. What'd you do that for? Instead of kind of adding to that supernatural element of like weird stuff's going on, like what just happened. But while I say that, like the idea of them getting lost and losing their minds through that way, the forest itself is making them lose their minds. I enjoyed it. I don't know. That was a good question, Cam. The journalism. Journalism.
But I wish, I do agree that I wish there was more of a build up to it because when they first lost,
are you talking about the anger just
the whole thing?
Yeah.
Like it felt like a step kind of thing. Like get mad here, get level 2 mad, get level 4 mad, or like level 2 then get level 5. Because when they first lost the map, they were just frustrated that they were lost. And I haven't been I've never been lost in the woods, so I don't know how quickly you can get mad in that situation. Yeah. I'm sure it's scary not knowing where you're at in the middle of nowhere and no one's around. But they get a little mad and they're like confused, like, dude, you don't know where we're going. And then like 2 minutes later, you spazzing out because
going nuts.
Like, you lost the fucking map. And
yeah, I just thought of something, Cam.
So
the house that they end the movie on, do they see that house at the beginning when they're driving? Because I vaguely remember them passing a house and going like, hey, that's a house. Remember that in the woods? Like a little shack. Do you remember that? Before they parked their car?
Yeah.
Do you think that's the same house that they end up at the end?
They were going in circles during the movie, so maybe.
So my thing is like, does that mean that
they were close?
They were close to where they would
supposed to go.
Yeah, I feel like that's pretty cool. I mean, like it's kind of one of those things where it's like, oh, the house they mentioned at the very beginning came back, and they were literally so close, like they're literally there. And I don't know, I just thought of that detail because I feel like they wouldn't be like, hey, there's a house, and all of a sudden this house appears out of nowhere, you know? I don't know. Did you pick up on that at all, or
no, not at all?
I didn't until now.
It sucks because when I don't care about the movie, I really don't
pick up on that stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
you think it's just like not important, which because there's a lot of not important like dialogue in this movie.
But yeah, no, I didn't pick up on it until now.
Yeah. So with Josh, because obviously he gets lost in the woods. They lose him. They don't know where he is, and they kind of give up on looking for him. And that's when they get to the house. But before that, they're in their tent and they hear his screams or whatever, at least a little bit. And then the next morning, Heather finds this like sticks wrapped together with the cloth from his flannel, and then she finds his, I think, tongue.
Yeah,
his tongue and his teeth. And so you're like, what the heck is going on? But then after that, you still hear his yelling, and it's like him like screaming.
No, Joe, we have to say it exactly how he was screaming.
I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to blow out these speakers. But
you already had enough.
It's true. Yeah, it's been a long day. Do you think that was the Blair Witch kind of manifesting, just like tricking them to lure them out into the woods, or do you think that was actually Josh screaming in pain and agony?
You mean like
what they're hearing like inside the tent? They hear him going like, ah, do you think that's actually him, or do you think that's just the witch messing with them?
I would have just said that was Josh.
Mm-hmm.
What movie?
Well, what movie?
There's a movie where I just watched it recently when oh gosh, like there's an animal that came into the house and then keep going with what you were saying.
Yeah,
I completely forgot.
No, you're fine. I was just thinking that because at the very end when they get to the house, they get to the house because they hear Josh's screams, like yelling at him like, hey, well, screaming stuff that we don't understand. But we literally just saw him with his tongue cut out. So it's like,
yeah,
he's like, how is he screaming? Because he's actually saying things, but obviously,
okay.
So I think it's just the witch like luring them into the house to kill them. But my thing is like, why didn't the witch just kill them before?
The first time.
Yeah. Because they hear kids, don't they too? They hear little kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good. You got it.
Well, just because like at the very beginning we know that like the Blair Witch like kills kids, and like at the end where they're inside the house, you can see all the black handprints on the walls.
Yeah.
And so I guess it plays like kind of with that, where it's like the past victims like messing with them or whatever. But I was just curious what you thought, like if you thought that was just Josh, or did you like kind of know that like, oh, the witch is just messing with them, trying to lure them out into the woods.
You put a lot more thought into this than I did.
Oh, such a good movie, Cam. Oh my God, it was such a good movie.
I probably, like you said, because I didn't think about any of this stuff beforehand, but based off now, I would think. I think I'd say it was the witch.
Okay.
Actually, I'm gonna be honest. I'd say I don't know. I'll leave it at that.
Did you think the disappearance of Josh was a little abrupt?
Yeah, but that's fine because you don't want to like drag someone getting like taken away, like disappearing, because I think that was good because you least expect it, and I mean I've never.
And kind of, it's through their eyes.
Yeah, like no one that I know has been abducted. So I don't really know how it goes, but I could just imagine that if someone does go missing, you just wake up and they're just not there. So I think that was appropriate.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the right word.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it because it was kind of like, you wake up, you're through their shoes, they don't know what's going on, you're as disoriented as they are, especially through the way the camera just moves all over the place. You're as freaked out as they are. And then there's also just kind of like they keep telling her to stop filming everything, and she's like, I have to do this, which that's kind of like, okay. Like no one would continuously film. And what batteries do they have? Because, dude, they're recording for like as long as possible. Like, we struggle with these cameras to keep them running like at a certain amount of
15
time.
minutes.
Yeah,
man.
and so they had it running, and I guess like that's just kind of the sacrifices you have to make this movie. You know, put that aside. But
It was only 60,000, so
yeah, so, I mean that's coins. That's penny change to me.
yeah.
But yeah, I liked it. I really liked the movie. Would I watch it again? Probably if I was watching with someone that like was interested in it. You know what I mean?
That hasn't seen or has?
That has not.
Okay.
If I was like on a Sunday afternoon, beautiful outside, and I was like, let's watch a movie, I would not
Yeah.
put on this. This is like a late night kind of movie, where you're just like, all right, it's an hour and 18, whatever, hour and 20. Let's just enjoy ourselves. And we love hour and a half movies. They are perfect,
Crisp.
especially with our time, their schedules. It fits very well.
90-minute movies are the way to buy that.
70-minute movies are the way to go. Even less so.
If you're making 70-minute movies, I kind of question it because, like, what can you say to me in 70 minutes?
Yeah.
But I do like short movies.
Yeah.
What?
What other things did you have any opinions on the movie and other aspects of it? What's something you appreciated? What's something different that maybe this movie had that you haven't seen in other found footage movies?
I think it's so, like, little on the eerie aspect.
Yeah.
I think that's a good word to describe it because I've seen other movies where it's eerie, like, to the max, but this one's just kind of at that borderline, like, you don't know what's going on, and I kind of like that. It was the first of its kind, so
Yeah.
I think that's something to appreciate because since it was its first, it didn't have anything to, like, replicate or go off of or try to, like, make good, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Other than that, no. What would you give it or do you have anything to say?
I mean, I've said everything I kind of think I need. I just appreciate the independent filmmaking of it, how they had very little and they made made a lot of money off of it. I personally would give it probably a 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5 or 4.5?
What would you give it?
You said 4 out of 5 or 4.5?
4 out of 5.
I'd give it a
Don't say 1. That's crazy if you give it a 1, dude.
1.5.
Really? Oh my god.
It's rewatchable.
Yeah.
Will I rewatch it? No. Is it rewatchable?
I wouldn't say it's the most rewatchable movie, and I'm not going to do what I've done for the last 6 weeks and say you have to watch it before you die.
No.
I mean, it's just, I thought it was a good, creepy movie to kind of come into October with and start talking about for the podcast, especially because of how culturally impactful it is, I guess, on movies, not on, politics or anything other than that. But yeah, that has been...
I think that wraps it up.
Yeah, that has been the first episode of our Oktoberfest series. We hope you enjoyed it. We're going to come back next week with a special guest. We'll leave that for you guys next week where we will talk about Evil Dead from 1981. This is
over there.
Yeah, somewhere over there. If you can see it, zoom in. But yes, that has been the Two Dudes Talk Movies podcast for this week. I almost couldn't speak there. But yes, hope you enjoyed it. I'm Drew.
I'm Cam.
And we will see you next week.
Voice cracked, but it's all right. See ya.